All right, guys, when you're doing your homework on numeric integration, you need to have well, two things. You need to have either Desmos or Excel, like some type of spreadsheet open. You need to have your PowerPoints from that section so you have the formulas that you're going to use. All right, so I've got a spreadsheet open here. I'm going to call it trapezoid method. I'm going to put my x's here. I'm going to put my f of x's, and let me make this a little bigger for you guys. So what I would encourage you to do, I just leave some space right here. You don't have to have the space between the values, but I have the inputs, the things that I'm actually going to change right here, and I just highlight those so you know which ones you're going to change. And then these are going to be, all this stuff is going to be based on these values. So the problem here is having me go from 0 to 2 with 4 steps. So that means over on my sheet that A is the lower limit of integration, 0, B is the upper limit of integration, 2, and N is how many steps I want to take, and how many trapezoids basically I'm going to make. I'm going to make 4 trapezoids. And now dx, this is a calculation you need to do. Dx is always equals parentheses b minus a. So b, click the number, minus a, click the number, close the parentheses, divided by n. So there's dx. So dx is a half in this case. Now, the first value in the x column will always be a. So we're going to say equals a, enter. The second value and every value after that is going to come from adding delta x to a. So I'm going to do, instead of equals, click 0, instead of doing plus 0.5, what I'm going to do instead is plus, and I'm going to slide over here and just click the dx. All right, but after I've done that, this is very important that you understand this. You either can press F4 on your keyboard if you have an F4 key. That will lock the value in so you can drag it down. It'll make us always add dx. Or you can manually type in the dollar signs. So click the dx and then go up here in front of H and put a dollar sign, and in front of H, sorry, put a dollar sign, and then go after the H and put a dollar sign. We're only dragging down, so technically you only have to put a dollar sign in front of the 2, but that's fine. All right, and then I'm going to drag down until I see the value B. So I just drag down a couple of times, and then there will be the value for B. All right, that's the first part. Now, the f of x column. Remember, how do we get f of x? We plug in x's into f of x, okay? But f of x is this function. It's 2 times x squared. So that's what I need to type in here, equals 2 times, and instead of typing x, I just click. Anytime I see an x in a formula here, I just click on the x. So I click on that, and then shift 6 for the exponent squared, right? And it auto fills. Once I've done it for the first one, it auto fills. If it didn't for whatever reason, or if you don't feel comfortable with the autofill, you just hit enter and then go back into the cell and drag down that little blue square in the bottom right corner, and it will autofill it that way. All right, you do need to have column C and column D. Okay, you need to make sure that you have those gaps there, because what we're going to do now is create our coefficient gaps. That's why the formula is so important. And then we're going to have our C times f of x column. All right, now this is where the formula comes in. So what I want you to see here, the trapezoid approximation, there's a 1 in front of the first value, a 2 in front of every value in the middle, all the way up to the next to last one, and finally a 1 in the last position. So your coefficients are always going to start off with a 1. They're always going to end up with a 1. So the first and last are going to be 1. But your interior coefficients are going to be 2's. All right, and now we're going to multiply c times f of x. F of x is the same as y, right? So 1 times the first y, or y naught. 2 times y1. 2 times y2. 2 times y3, all the way up to yn, y4 in this case. So equals this times this. And again, you can autofill it. That's the coefficients all the way down. And what am I doing with these? I'm adding them all together. So underneath that column, I'm just going to click all of those, and maybe blow this up so you can see the sum button. So after I've highlighted them all, I can press this button and do the sum. All right, so this is the sum. But to finish it off, look at what's going on in the formula. I'm multiplying that sum times delta x over 2. So I'm going to do equals, click the delta x divided by 2, and then multiply times that sum. So there's my approximate area of this curve. Okay, Desmos, as you've seen before, can give you these, well, a decimal version of the exact area. So this is the integral from 0 to 2 of 2x squared dx. So there's the actual area, 0.533333, and then this is our approximate area. So it's not far off. It's not bad. All right, 5.5 is 11 halves. So I'll click that. All right, now this next one, still 4 steps. We're going from -1 to 1. I just wanted you to see all I have to do is modify the sheet now that I've built it. So A is -1, B is 1, and notice as I'm putting in values, the sheet is updating. N is still 4, so that's still going to be 0.5. This is still a gap of 2, just like 0 to 2 was. But the thing that I have to remember here is f of x has changed. I'm always going to have to adjust this column. Okay, so if you want to, just click that column B and like highlight it, just to remind you that these are like the things that you're going to have to change every time. Then that may be a good idea. Okay, so I got the 2x squared that's still there from last time, but that's not what the new function is. It's parentheses x squared. So again, I'm going to click the x, square it, and then I add 6. So that's what I'm doing for the function this time. I need to click there and drag down all the way to the bottom. There's my approximate area. All right, let's change this. So there's the exact area with Desmos, so 38/3 or 12.6 repeating. There's our approximation with the trapezoid method. All right, if you don't recognize that's 12 3/4, if you don't recognize the improper fraction of that, just type it into Desmos and click the little fraction button. It'll turn it into a fraction for you. So that's 51/4. There's option B.